Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100-plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like Generative AI and Emerging Technologies, HR and Learning and Development, Project Management and Agile Scrum, ISO and Quality Management, Information Security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100-plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500-plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100-plus authorized training partners and 50-plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000-plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100-plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like Generative AI and Emerging Technologies, HR and Learning and Development, Project Management and Agile Scrum, ISO and Quality Management, Information Security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100-plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500-plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100-plus authorized training partners and 50-plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000-plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100+ globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100+ global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500+ multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100+ authorized training partners and 50+ universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000+ members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100+ globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100+ global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500+ multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100+ authorized training partners and 50+ universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000+ members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining. We'll be starting the session now. Allow me a minute so I can share my screen and we can start. And meanwhile, please let us know where you're watching this session from. It's always good to see how global audience is joining us for our sessions. And again, thank you so much for joining. I would love to give you all a very warm welcome to our series, GSDC Certified Learning, Generative and Agentic AI, Building Autonomous Intelligence for Enterprise Transformation. My name is Preetham. I'll be here as moderator. Feel free to use the chat box in case if you have any question for me, and I'm very happy to assist you all. A quick introduction to our hosting organization, those who have joined us here for the first time. So we are globally recognized certification body. We are vendor agnostic, vendor neutral, and we are accredited by ABICB. We do have 100 plus authorized training partner across the regions. We have partners in Asia, Africa, Canada, America, and many other countries. So a big thanks to all our training partners for supporting us and helping us to improve our programs. And those who have joined us through our training partner channel, in case if you're looking for any training program for yourself, get in touch with our training partners to have further inquiries about it. I will share the contact details shortly in the chat box. And also, we are supported by World Press Hub, which is our official media partner. So they take care of all our events and press releases. And we do have 100 plus certification portfolio with us. We have certified more than 250,000 professionals worldwide. Also, we have 500 plus subject matter experts with us. Those are industry experts. So basically, they help us with our programs, exams, and all the deliverables. Also, we are in association with 1,000 plus multinational corporates, 500 Fortune companies, and 50 plus universities across the world. And a quick introduction to our lifelong learning initiative platform, GSTC AI Studio, where we are providing 100 plus live sessions on AI, which is led by global experts, where you'll be getting 4 daily sessions, which is 45 minutes of live impactful sessions, along with the hands-on learning, which means you can apply all the concept immediately that you have learned. And in case if you get any question or doubts, all your questions will be answered on real-time basis with the help of our subject matter experts and our AI leaders, global leaders. Also, this training is aligned with the industry standards for the job-ready skills. And I believe this is amazing platform to learn from the AI experts, global leaders around the world, right? So in case if you're looking for or wondering how you can access to GSTC AI Studio, get in touch with the learning advisors for further assistance. I'll share the details in the chat box. And without any further ado, I would like to introduce our today's speaker, Dinesh Singh Panwar. He's a senior engineer leader with over 20 plus years of experience driving large-scale technology transformation in the financial services industry and innovation award winner. He specializes in generative AI adoption, enterprise platform engineering, and scaled agile delivery. Dinesh is recognized for building high-performance team and delivering strategic business outcomes by solving complex integration and workflow challenges. As a previous speaker in our GSTC Certified Learning Series, he shared his valuable insights on leveraging emerging technologies to drive enterprise innovation and transformation. And also, we look forward to his today's session, which he'll be presenting the topic, which is Agentic AI versus Generative AI, what PMs must understand. Let's learn from him. Thanks, Dinesh, for joining. You can have the hand of the mic now.
All right, hopefully you can all hear me okay. Cool. So first of all, welcome, and it was wonderful to see how GHGC is making a real impact to the world by organizing these sessions and having numerous amount of training sessions across the world to be able to spread the knowledge. And especially in today's time, as we can see, the AI is spreading and evolving faster than we can all cope up with. So efforts of GHGC are very well recognized in terms of being able to help all the students and all the people to be able to keep at pace with AI. Now, today's topic is about practical implementation of AI. And we have all heard about these terms, agentic AI, generative AI, and especially for the people who are in the business of delivering projects where implementing AI is one aspect of implementing things amongst many other things. Sometimes these terminologies can be really difficult to understand and difficult to implement, obviously. So my idea today is to explain all these settings in a very layman terms, followed by a bit of a practical implementation that I've done and that I've overseen and that I've seen in my experience. And also, if possible, I'll try to give a demo of some of the product or one of the product that I've created that utilizes these concepts. So first, a bit about me. I'm Dinesh. I have been head of technology for Westpac Group, which is one of the largest banks here in Australia. and I have over 20 plus years of experience in implementing large platform across telecom, across banking. And now for the past 1 month, I've been building my own products and doing sessions like this to be able to spread the knowledge of how AI can be implemented and things like that. Now, as I'm told that the audience here is largely project managers, product managers, and people like that who are well and truly in delivery. So this is, you can consider like a project plan or a schedule of our session. We'll have followed by 6 steps. I'll first give a very plain English definition of what is generative AI and what is agentic AI, followed by, in a typical project lifecycle, where would, if you were to use AI into your typical project management execution plan, where would you fit it in, and where would agentic AI play a role? Where would generative AI play a role? Then we will look at some of the practical case studies, the stuff that I've done in a large and Australian bank, and one of my pet projects that I've created, which is again related to banking. It'll be a fun demo if I'm able to do so. And then we will go on to a decision tree, which will help all of you guys who are executing the projects related to AI. You'll be able to identify where to use generative AI and where to use agentic AI in a very simple decision tree. And then we will go on to a bit of a governance playbook for that project managers can use in order to how to govern the projects that involves AI in some shape or form, whether they are using AI to project manage things or whether they are using or they are project managing a project that is implementing large scale artificial intelligence. And then we will go through question and answer, and I'm pretty sure Preetam and her team will be doing a great job in collecting all the questions that we can answer. If you're not able to answer during this session, I'm sure we will have some mechanism to get back. Now, what are these 2 terms? So before we talk about generative AI and agentic AI, it used to be a term called machine learning. So AI, it's all originated from the endeavors of machine learning, which is about replicating how the human brain works in neural networks and how it stores information and generates things and identifies things. That used to be called machine learning. So when we give a machine a lot of samples, and it will try to learn the logic automatically rather than some programmer writing the logic. So it's all originated from there. And the first breakthrough came in when OpenAI launched this generative AI chat. So generative AI, in a very plain, simple terms, it is just something that is an assistant to you that is a very smart autocomplete, if you will. You will ask it a question, it will understand the question, it will have some sort of a natural language processing to be able to understand the intent, and it will give some sort of a response. And the reason it is called generative AI, because it generates something which is fresh, whether it is generating a text, generating a response, generating an image, generating a video. So it is pretty much like an interactive thing where you give it an input and it will generate a new output. So that is what is called as generative AI. And how it is relevant to your project management discipline. For example, if you ask generative AI to, or if you ask an AI to write a project status report, that will be some sort of a generative AI in the background. If you ask an AI, as we all use in Teams, to summarize a meeting, it is a generative AI. And if you ask an AI to draft a risk register or make an entry into your RAID logs, that will be kind of a generative AI. So as you can see, generative AI is more of like assisted AIs, or in a colloquial term also called as Copilot side of AI, is where the generative AI use is more often there. Now, what is agentic AI? Agentic AI is kind of one level next to an AI, where rather than being a copilot, the intent is to be able to do 100% autonomous execution of activities, right? Where, in short, where an AI can take an initiative. For example, if you give it a goal and it will get the job done, hopefully without an input from a human or without an involvement of a human, right? So some of the examples of agentic AI could be, you can have an agent that will monitor your Jira queue And if a new Jira ticket comes in, it will open it up, try to solve it itself. And if it is not able to solve the Jira ticket itself, it will assign the Jira ticket to a human being, which means you can almost automate your workflow of handling a Jira ticket without a human intervention. And only when there is an exception, AI can pass on the exception to a human being. So that is what is the next level of AI, which is called as agentic AI. Hopefully that makes it a little bit clearer in terms of a clear separation of what it means. So if, let's say, you're coming from a project management disciplines, so who initiates generative AI it's always you. So you are in charge, a human being is in charge of it. But when it comes to agentic AI, it's the agent who is in charge of the initiation. How many steps? Usually one prompt, one response kind of steps in generative AI, whereas in agentic AI, there could be multiple sequence of steps, almost like a whole workflow that is executed completely by agentic AI. Utilization of tool, as we can see, generative AI does not use any additional tool. It is just the AI or the large language model that you are interacting with. And in the agentic AI, we will have to give the AI a lot of tools so that it can take some actions on the back of the workflow that it wants to execute. Human in the loop in generative AI, always. As we said, generative AI is a copilot, so there's always human in the loop. And in case of agentic AI, human in the loop or HITL sometimes is there, but the nirvana state is there is no human in the loop. But in the practical terms, there always is. PM oversight needed for generative AI, not so much, because there's always a human in the end who will kind of validate the decision. While in case of agentic AI, governance is very critical. What happens if there is a failure? If the generative AI fails, what happens? Some bad response comes, and a human being who's at the other end of the conversation can correct itself or can override that particular response. Whereas in case of agentic AI, if the response from the AIs or the actions of the AI are wrong, it could be catastrophic if we have implemented agentic AI in a very mission critical systems. Now, before we jumped into the actual use of AI in execution, let's have a look at in a project management discipline where the AI could be used, and with some examples where a generative AI makes sense, and in some instance where agentic AI will make sense when it comes to project management. So as we know, in project management, we generally go through phases of initiation, planning. Once the plan is there, we go through execution. And once execution is finished, we have some phase of monitoring where we monitor whether whatever business case we have delivered is really adding value. And then we do the closure. And the activities listed here on the first half of the swim lane are the activities which, if you're using AI, that would be in the camp of generative AI. And the bottom half of the swim lane is something that will be in the camp of an agentic AI. For instance, if you look at the top row, if you are using some sort of an AI to create your risk register or to create the work breakdown structure generation, all those sort of things would be an interaction of generative AI, because you will be pretty much asking an AI, hey, can you please create a risk because of this? Or can you please write down a work breakdown structure and add it into my tool? So those sort of things would be an example of generative AI being in use in a project management discipline. And what would be an example of agentic AI, where not only you are using AI as a co-pilot, but you are also doing an actual execution work using AI. For instance, if you are project managing a software implementation, and automated testing using AI agents could be an example of agentic AI implementation in your project management execution. If it is some sort of an anomaly detection or predictive risk analysis, for example, if there is an agent that is looking at the results of the automated testing, it is automatically executing. And if it is predicting that the level of defects that are being generated is super high, it could automatically raise a risk that, hey, the quality of the code is not really good, and hence there is a high risk and things like that. So in a traditional sense, you would have expected those sort of things to be done by some human being, some sort of a knowledge worker, a coder, or some tech lead or something like that. All those sort of things, if they are being done by an AI agent, that will be fall under the realm of agentic AI. So I'm not going to go through all the examples that are there in the screen, but you kind of get the gist of in a project management world, what sort of activities would be termed as generative AI versus agentic AI. Now, just zooming in a little bit, that agentic AI is not something which is completely new as such. So human beings or the researchers have always been trying to automate the end-to-end workflow. So if you look at how we do business any day, whether before AI, it's always customer on the one end and your product and services on the other end. And everything is in between is a business process. Customer triggers a business, it creates a series of workflow or a business process, and the end result of that is some products and services getting delivered. So human beings have always tried, or the business people have always tried to automate these things. That hey, for example, in case of a banking scenario, usually we used to have a bank teller and the manual branches, and we have automated all that using digital interfaces and things like that. And if the money has to be transferred from one account to another account, we've all automated that using programming languages and things like that. But what we have never been able to do, or what we have never been able to automate in the past before AI, was what we call as a knowledge worker. For example, if you apply for a loan today, and if I have to decide whether I give you a loan, whether the banks should give you a loan or do not give you a loan on the basis of various rules that are in place or various regulations that are in place, or comparing your income versus expenditure and things like that, that is a very analytical kind of work. So we always used to give that work to a human being who was like a like analyst, banking analyst or something like that. Now AI is able to do that kind of work. So previously we were able to automate a lot of the activities that were mundane, but we were never able to automate activities that were analytical in nature, that required some sort of an inference or some sort of an intelligence. Now with the coming of artificial intelligence, we are now able to automate those activities. So there is a dream of end-to-end automation, which is being possible now. Now, stitching all those activities together is kind of what agentic AI means, that it is able to automate everything. So the example that I'm giving here on the screen is again on the extreme left, it is talking about traditional automation were always used to be very predetermined steps or deterministic steps, where we used to call either robotic automation or calling the APIs of the backend system to automate tasks here and there. As we moved on with the coming of generative AI, we added a little bit of a flavor of an automatic analysis by adding generative AI and giving some Copilot to improve productivity of various human steps in between. And then we moved on to some sort of an agentic AI, where the easier analysis work or simple analysis work was kind of outsourced to an agent, and it would fall off to a human in the loop only for high risk approvals or things like that. And then obviously the nirvana state would be when there is no human involved in the core automation, only in the rules creation and things like that humans would be involved. That would be like a fully automated agentic AI. Now, in below, there are some examples of some of the use cases there. So in case of software development lifecycle, your CI/CD pipeline is an example of end-to-end automation. Unit test running is kind of an end-to-end automation, and stitching it together using some sort of an AI who can take decision on which step to execute when. That will be an example of SDLC agentic AI automation. In case of operations, if you talk about an IT incident management automation kind of system. As you all know, we kind of use tools like ServiceNow, and we have a bunch of support staff that look at those tickets, that solve those tickets, go through the logs and figure out what's wrong. All those sort of activities can now be done by agents. Now, how much of those AI agents we give autonomous control to, it depends on our risk appetite. And in case of the banking scenario, which we will go deep dive a little bit later on, there are things like PII data redaction. Every document that we get in the bank, we have to remove the personal information. Identifying a personal information in a document is an AI activity. Redacting the personal information is kind of an AI activity, and so on and so forth. Now, let's move on to some sort of case studies. So this is a case study that that I was involved in one of the Australian largest bank. It is about mortgage assessor AI. So to put it very simply, if you go to a bank and you apply for a mortgage, to apply for a home loan, bank has to, first of all, collect the information about you, your salary slip, your expenses, your financial condition, and various other things. And then this whole information goes into a process where we analyze to depth as to how much is the expenses, how much is the income, and what will be the disposable income of this particular couple or this particular person, and what is the credit rating, and what are the regulatory boundaries that we have to operate within, what are the competitive boundaries we have to agree within, and the net result of that is whether we can give loan or not, or more importantly, how much loan we can give to this person safely. And now it is a very thin line that if we overcome it or give more loan than what we think this person can repay, then it might mean a bad debt. Tomorrow, if the person is not able to pay the debt, then one, it could be a regulatory issue that we are giving loans left, right, and center, or it could be a case of person is not able to pay the loan and it becomes a bad asset for the bank. On the flip side, if we are very conservative in giving the loan and we say, no, we can't give you a loan because your salary's income is not high enough and things like that, there could be inflation, blah, 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 then we would be losing out on the competition because a competitive bank could give the loan and then we would be losing that kind of mortgage interest. So it's a very, very thin line in that respect. So typically, an Australian bank would, let's say, take anywhere between 3 to 5 to 6 days, depending on the kind of entity, to be able to decide whether to give a loan or not. Now, that's a very large amount of time to take a simple decision. And obviously, if you're applying for a loan for a very urgent purposes, you might just go out for a different entity or a different bank and things like that. So what we tried doing is, can AI help us in taking that decision confidently at a fraction of the time? So our intention was, can we reduce the time frame, let's say from 5 days to at least under a day or something like that, right? So now, what are the steps involved in making a decision? So step number 1 is collecting all the information. That is easy. It's already getting collected through digital inputs. We collect all the salary slip and PDF format salary slip and things like that. So the next step would be to extract the information automatically. If it was a human being would simply watch the document or see the document. But if it is a system, we have to OCR the content. So we use IBM DataCap as a tool set to OCR the information out. And once the information is extracted in a raw text form, then the whole content was given to a generative AI using an API call. And then some prompts were created that, hey, here is the input information. Can you please tell us, depending on such and such rules, whether a loan is given? And can you please summarize the reasoning, right? So AI would kind of, within a fraction of a second or within 5 seconds, it would respond back, yes or no, and here is the reason. So that was very powerful. Now, once it is given the input, then obviously it goes to a human being to say whether the input is valid or input is not valid, and then the decision would be taken. So for the products and services that we applied this particular automation to, the decision was possible within a matter of like 5 minutes, really. Only challenge from a rollout perspective would have been that how many products we can uh, uh, enable this particular automation to. Now, if you, without going to the rollout information, if you look at the concept here, it is using generative AI when it comes to that middle section where on the basis of the prompt, it is able to analyze whether the loan should be given. That is more of like a direct question to an AI. So it's a case of generative AI. But if you look at the end-to-end workflow, there is no human being involved except the HITL part where the human being is doing the actual acceptance or rejection of the decision. This is an example of an end-to-end agentic workflow or an orchestrated agentic workflow. Now, if you were a project manager or a product manager delivering this thing, you would be concerned about various things on the way, along the way. You will be concerned about whether the input and output that are going into and out of the generative AI, whether it is taking care of the data security on all those sort of things, whether the response is coming back in a reasonably fast manner, and if the response is coming when it is going to the human being for review, what is the success or failure rate? For example, if AI is saying yes 50% of the time, while human is saying no, AI made the wrong decision 50% of the time, then that's really not a good AI, right? So those sort of things is something that a project manager can create some sort of a plan that could iterate on those things to make it refine further and further. And in the implementation of like this, when it rolls out into production, you would have things like a token cost that you would consume every time you are calling a generative AI or any sort of AI. That means that you will have to count how much it is costing you to be able to get that fast reply. And if that fast reply accuracy is not high enough compared to the cost you are paying for the tokens and the human being cost that you are having towards a end of the workflow, then whether it makes sense or whether it doesn't make sense. Those sort of things are something that are the decision for a typical product manager or a project manager to consider while executing these kind of projects. Now, having seen that particular example, this should have given you a bit of an end-to-end view of how an AI kind of projects are kind of put in place and what is the job of a project manager, or what is the new thinking a project manager or a product manager need to bring in apart from the traditional execution management. So now, having understood what is generative AI, what is agentic AI, now you can clearly see this decision tree. If you look at from the top mid section, which says start, you will say, okay, is this set of activity, is it a multi-step activity or a simple one-step activity? If it is a multi-step activity, if it is not a multi-step activity, yeah, it's a generative AI, just have some sort of a prompt arrangement there to have generative AI activity implemented. If it is not a single step activity and it is a multi-step activity, then you would ask, okay, does it need to take action on the basis of an output, right? So for example, if the decision is yes, this is a pass, then do I need to make a payment or not? If that action can be automatically done or whether that action requires a human input. So in the previous example, it did require a human input. So there was kind of a human element there, HITL workflow. So even though it was agentic, but there was a human in the loop. But if there is an action that can be taken on the basis of the decision taken by AI and the action itself can be automated, then it becomes kind of a fully agentic automation. So this is a very high level description of how your thought process should work when working out what is generative AI, what is orchestrated agentic AI, what is fully automated agentic AI versus what is HITL or human in the loop step. Now, when it comes to governance or to clearly work out how to control this proliferation of AI to an area where it should not be proliferated, how to control the risk factor, one of the key job of a product manager or a project manager is to manage risk. Now, as we have seen, while agentic AI and generative AI, both of them offer huge advantages in terms of automation, cutting down the time. Equally, if not implemented well, they have significant amount of risk that can be posed. So a guy from Applied AI System called Nick Scott gave a very beautiful definition that the difference between a demo assistant and a production AI system is a regulated environment. Production is, for all intents and purposes, is a regulated environment. So how might you create some sort of a boundaries so that you can safely execute AI-related execution? So number one, you can ask a question, what the AI can suggest. So what exactly is AI suggesting that we are replacing human being with the AI? If it is an output only, for example, if it is the draft risk assessment for PM to review, that is an activity, a simple one-step activity that AI is generating and human being is ultimately in charge of that execution. Okay, simple. That's a very good short-lived boundary for a generative AI. Then the next boundary step would be what the workflow can queue. So, for example, if AI is analyzing a lot of things out of 100 things, it is analyzing 100 things, and out of 100 things, it can flag those 10 things that it thinks is not right, and it can queue them up. For example, a simple example would be spam mail detection, right? So there is an AI in your email box that does the spam mail detection. It flags them those emails as spam. So that is kind of an example of how flagging of some item can be there, and it could be launched into some sort of a queue for human being or some other next step to be taken into account. The number third boundary could be what requires a human authority. For example, you may have certain activities or certain potentially automatable activities along the flow, but the result of those automation could be so disastrous if it goes wrong, is that you would always have some sort of human authority injected in between. And that will decide where you need to put human in the loop kind of a setup. Some example of those things could be budget reallocation, scope changes, escalation. Those are the kind of activities that you would think that almost always require some sort of a human authority. And then the fourth boundary could be, what are the activities that can be safely executed? So safely executed would be low risk items where you have high confidence, and then the fallout of some sort of a percentage of that getting wrong is not that material. Some of the example could be, one of the PM job is to send reminders, set things up, and so on and so forth. All those sort of mundane activities can be automated by AI agent, and the risk of those getting wrong isn't that significant that we wouldn't try to automate those sort of activities. So that's an example of where you can safely execute actions which are AI generated. Now, in terms of safe execution, that's a very subjective matter. So what can be safe for you? For example, I was given an example of sending reminders. So if you are sending reminder to, let's say, a fresher or some person who has joined fresh in the team, probably not a big deal if it goes wrong. And if you are sending reminders to a CEO, or a board members, then maybe you don't want to get it wrong. So it depends on the risk appetite, and that whether the consequences of things getting wrong are high, and the probability of it going wrong is also a factor. So the usual model is you start with almost 100% human in the loop, and then as you build confidence that, okay, you calculate the percentage in production that, okay, we are hitting 99% success rate and it's not that as bad, and we can take the risk on that 1%. So then you gradually expand the automation, reduce the human, and then eventually go towards phase 4, which is like 80-20, 80% automation, 20% human, which is largely exceptions. So that is how you kind of iterate over it to make your AI implementation really, really productive. Now, PM's governance checklist, not going to go through all of them, but rough idea would be you would have to do certain actions or certain checklists before the build to identify those 4 boundaries so that you have a very well-informed decision of how you're going to execute things. And during the delivery, you would always take care of what aspects you are putting human in the loop and what is going to be your success criteria for calculating the percentages of automation versus non-automation. And once you have done the launch, then you would kind of do a very rigorous measurement and monitor the accuracy. And if you are finding some spikes in accuracy, meaning something has gone wrong, and you need to iterate that through, and so on and so forth. So it is a relatively different model of execution when it comes to a non-AI execution versus AI-centric execution, where we have to focus a lot on governance and a lot on monitoring of the things so that we have got the pulse of what is going on. Now, live demo. So ask my bank.ai. So this is a AI-based demo product that I created, which was kind of my interpretation of how a future of banking would look like in an AI-based scenario. So before I go into the demo, let me just explain what the problem statement is. So I've used both generative AI and the agentic component in this one. That will give you a fair idea of what a typical implementation would look like. But before I go into the detail, let me give you a bit of a problem statement. So you would all know that a bank pretty much stores lots and lots and lots of information about the customers. If you have taken a loan from a bank 20 years ago, bank will typically have your initial documents you submitted to the bank, your e-statements, your transaction accounts. You may have raised some disputes, your transactions. You may have requested something to the bank. All those records are spread throughout hundreds of banking systems within the bank. And by law, bank is required to keep those information depending on the record management policy up to 7 years after the closure and things like that, so that in case there is some issue, an illegal issue or something, regulators can ask the bank, hey, 20 years ago, this guy came to you, give me all the incidences of how it interacted with the bank, what did you do, blah, blah, blah. Now, as you can imagine, if a banker receives such a request, and if he has to respond within a day to a regulator about a customer that interacted with the bank 20 years ago, searching all those things in hundreds of systems, in millions and billions of records is nearly impossible, even with all the IT dudes we have in the bank, right? It's going to be very difficult. So my idea of using AI in that case would be all this information is usually kept in the form of unstructured documents like PDFs and things like that that are archived off in a secure repository. So, so this particular solution, what it does is it essentially creates a chat interface in front of all those backend documentation. And the banker who is at the receiving end from the customer or the legal things, he can, instead of identifying how in which system I should search, he would simply chat it away that, hey, I've received information. I want to know about this customer and all the cases that this customer has created. And the system or a chat bot should be really able to give all the information back. So that is pretty much the context of this information. Now, if you look at the stuff that I'm showing you on the screen, a banker, let's say, to simplify things, all the customer complaints, all the customer disputes and all the customer e-statements, billions of them, are stored away in some sort of a secure repository. And banker can ask any information about any customer to this system. So the questions could be of two types. It could either be what we call as an aggregation question. For example, how many disputes were lodged during Q1 in 2020? Or how many complaints were filed in this particular branch? So these are the questions which is like an aggregate question where we have to kind of add things up to find an inference. That would be one side of questions. And other kind of questions would be, hey, I have got this customer, and what about this customer that raised a complaint number 1, 2, 3, 4? Or anything which is pinpointing to a specific transaction. So the reason it is very important for AI to be able to identify these two things separately, because in the back end, a transaction information is searched in a different way if you have to search it faster, and the aggregate information is searched in a different way. So they are all kept in a separate database and things like that. So these query can be answered very promptly out of the billions of information that might be there in the backend system. Oops. Hopefully that gives you a bit of a insight into what the system typically does. Now, how it is implemented. So first of all, what you see on the top half is a bit of an architecture of what happens when the banker fires a query. If a banker asks anything in a very natural language with no SQL query, nothing like that, just a very plain English, then an AI system called Smart Router will detect what is he asking. It will detect, is he asking aggregate query or is he asking a specific query? And depending on that, it will fire the query. If it is an aggregate query, it will fire to an aggregate database. And if it is a detailed query, then it will fire off to a vector database. And then once the information has been retrieved, then another AI will format the answer in a very human readable fashion, and it will respond back. So that is pretty much the interaction of what will happen behind the scenes as a banker is interacting with the system. Now, to even make this interaction work, those two databases have to be filled with the right information on the basis of the billions of documents that the bank has for them. So, and that information has to be kept accurate. To keep it up to date, the bottom half is pretty much what we call as the ingestion pipeline. And that is also fully automated, that as the documents are added into the repository, this runs behind the scenes. It extracts all the information. Any aggregate information is dumped into the aggregate database, and any full text information is kind of extracted out using OCR technology and dumped into the other database so that the chatbot can function. So if I can switch my screen a little bit, so I'll give you an example. So this is an example of the chatbot, for example, right? And on the left-hand side, I have some sample question. So let me ask a question. Which customer, let me clear the screen first, otherwise you might get confused. Okay, so this is a fresh screen. The banker comes in, and I'm asking which customer had disputes over $5,000. So as you can see, this is kind of an aggregate query. So the chatbot is pretty much converting that into some sort of a technical language. It is talking to the backend database, and then as the information is retrieved, it will present the information in a very human readable fashion. Right? So as you can see here, it has presented the information in a very human readable fashion, very easy. And then I've also added the next steps. For example, if you're not satisfied, raise an IT request. And if you need to escalate these disputes or whatever it is, then you can do so, and things like that. Now, if this whole AI engine wasn't there, this whole activity would have resulted in, if a banker receives it, he would say that, hey, I can respond to you in 5 days. and they will knock on the doors of IT, raise a ticket, they will try to find the information, and it will take probably 10 to 15 days to gather all this information, depending on how old these things are. Similarly, an example of an aggregate query, I'm selecting, sorry, not the aggregate query, but the specific query. For example, the dispute number DSP0012. If I'm asking that information, hey, what about this dispute? So it is taken this information from a separate database. So you get the gist of it, right? Now let me swing it back to the presentation. Yeah. Now this is how the query router works, and this is all the intelligence that is kind of baked in. What used to be a job of 10, 15 people now is, with the help of various AI activities chained together, is able to provide that input as if there's a human interaction happening along the way. Now, I will rush through. I know we are running out of time. Now, we are at a home run here. So these are the top 5 mistakes that a PM could make. For example, treating generative as a black box. No, you have to really define the prompt so that the response is really accurate. Skipping the execution boundary. For example, not putting enough human in the loop or other kind of regulatory boundaries. Adding human in the loop as an afterthought. That's a no. And going from a pilot to 100% step 1, no, you will struggle in production. And measuring activity, not outcome. So you would have seen people asking for, okay, how many token counts you are burning, and if you are burning less and you're not productive, if you're burning more, you're productive. That is not the case. You could burn really a lot of tokens on really useless activities. Now, these are some of the key takeaways. Some of the things I've already kind of mentioned, but I would like to pinpoint on the bottom left. The PM role is changing. So those who have delivered agile projects in the past, we all know that there is a role of a product owner who does the prioritization, Scrum Master who is a master of ceremonies, and Tech Lead who is the master of technology for that particular thing. In the future, with the advent of AI, all these 3 roles will become eventually one. The product owner will have to have some sort of a technical mindset as well as a product mindset. And the role of a Scrum Master can just be done by the product owner himself. That is how the future of Scrum team would be. So the PM role is kind of evolving. And I think that's what is one of the takeaways. With that, I would close this discussion, and we are on 12:20 in my time, which means we should have around 5 to 10 minutes for question and answer. I'm happy to answer if Pritam, if you're moderating.
Yeah, Dinesh, yes. Thank you so much for the valuable insights today. It was a real practical perspective, I must say, on the agentic and generative AI, and I believe this is definitely going to be a very helpful, and all our audience will implement all these things in the organization. So thanks a lot. And as you mentioned that we're open for the Q&A, I would like to request all the participants, please drop your questions in the chat box right away so we can take it, as we still have 10 minutes to cover your questions. So do not worry and drop your questions in the chat box. And meanwhile, I'll just quickly have a look, Dinesh, if you got any question across live platform. Okay, I can see we have got question from Raj, so I'll be reading it for you.
Yeah.
Very insightful and great delivery. Pleased to be connecting with the speaker as an ex-Westpac crew 2009 and 2011. My question is, as enterprises evolved from traditional data governance, MDM, metadata, lineage and knowledge graphs towards AI ML driven ecosystem, what has been the most effective pathway into Gen AI and agentic AI from an architectural, governance, and operating model perspective? Sorry for the long question.
No, I think that's a very good question. And the way I would respond to that is it's not one size fit all that is going on. So, for example, in terms of the machine learning, so machine learning has never been new to the bank. Like we have been doing machine learning since like past 10, 20 years, especially in fraud detection. So in fraud detection, we apply machine learning to identify whether this could be a fraud or this could be a fraudulent transaction so that we can stop the transaction. Because if we don't do that, we will lose a lot of money because when we give credit card to customers, we pretty much guarantee that if you have a fraud, we will refund your money. So our money is on the line. So we have been using machine learning. But with the generative AI, what has happened is it has become mainstream. And now what I have seen is a lot of fear of missing out and unnecessary application of generative AI has been happening very quickly, where probably doesn't make sense. So now it is settling down, and I can see that there are essentially three patterns of architecture that are evolving depending on the level of risk in both generative AI as well as agentic AI. So one factor is where the risk is absolutely minimal. For example, when it comes to giving a copilot to all of your staff, that is a relatively easy. Yep, risk is low because there's always a staff that is at the other end of the receiving end of the AI information. And it's the job of the staff to be able to not take in a risk, and all that can be trained. So that is relatively easier to implement. Uh, of course, how to implement will require the whatever copilot you are choosing. We have to kind of sweep up or connect all the enterprise information to that copilot so that it can respond, like connecting it to the shared drive, connecting it to your knowledge bases and stuff like that. Second architecture that is really evolving is where we are giving the AI tools and doing hyper automation on code generations. For example, where we would have used 100 developer to do some massive migration project, we are now able to use like maybe 20 developers and the rest of the AI to be able to do the job. And especially in case of testing left, right, and center, that is all happening automatic, and the risk is low, rewards are high. That's where that thing is heavily evolving. So the whole of SDLC lifecycle and SDLC tools are getting replaced, getting modified, getting integrated to all the AI related agents. That's all happening really well. Third area is incorporating AI actually into the business process. For example, the mortgage assessor AI example I was giving and the Ask My Bank.ai, that thing I was giving, that is where I think the biggest risk as well as biggest reward and biggest governance issues that are coming through. And the reason being, for example, there is no clear governance or there is no prescriptive governance from the government that what we should and should not do. And obviously that is rightfully so. But there's always a reset if something goes wrong. If the data goes out, we will never be able to bring it back, that kind of thing. So organizations, regulated especially, are very cautious as to how to do that. So that's why this RAG architecture is very popular because it uses general purpose model for natural language processing, but it doesn't allow you to leave the data. So AI comes to you to get the data and respond and that kind of thing. So a lot of new architectures are coming through where data is abstracted from the AI, while AI just does the general purpose natural language processing and so on and so forth. And if you really need to create your own model, then some sort of a string fenced parameter or on premise models or a small models that can be created. Uh, uh, because there is a saying that the models from Claude and OpenAI, these are like PhD level models. A bank may not need a PhD level model to do a simple task. So if you want to create a simple model, you could actually create in-house and give it access to your data to train it. So that sort of thing. So hopefully that answered a long answer to a long question. I think that's probably valid.
Indeed, it was a very thank you very much for detailed explanation, Dinesh. I believe Raj must be happy with the answer and the clarification that he got. So, moving forward to another question, which we have got from Anuswa. The question is, I've already pasted it in the chat box for everyone's visibility. The question I'm reading it for you is, how can project managers redesign delivery methodologies and success metrics when managing AI initiatives that evolve continuously rather than through traditional fixed scope projects?
Yeah, again, a very good question. So I think one of the key change of strategy in running a AI-based project is AI is essentially what we call as non-deterministic, which means that uh, if if in a normal project we used to have a success criteria that okay, 100% of test cases passed, you put it to production, you do a UAT, job done. You give like maybe a couple of weeks or 1 month of warranty, and project is over. Now that is not going to be the case. Your half of your testing essentially of the operating process happens in production, in the real production scenario and things like that. So which means that you have to do some sort of an MVP rather early with enough guardrail, and your project doesn't finish. Project kind of starts then. As I was saying, that the methodology would almost always be do if your goal is to do 80% automation, you start with 20% automation in production, and then the rest of the uh, 60% automation you do in iteration, which means that your whole project management methodologies go to production as fast as possible, of course with enough guardrails, and then iterate uh, with production kind of settings and so on and so forth, so that you can maneuver things as you are getting feedback from production rather than planning it up front. So kind of like what Agile was showcasing, that kind of metrics becomes more and more important. That evolve your plan according to the feedback you are getting from the field. That would be one, and obviously the second one would be if you're executing an IT project, then the traditional roles of product owner and technical lead kind of merges. And the future is also a typical team used to have 9 developers, including testers. It would now be probably 3 developers and 4 agents and that kind of a thing.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dinesh, for answering all the 2 questions that we have received so far. And I would like to encourage all the participants, if you have any further questions or anything that you want to discuss, feel free to reach out to our speaker. I've already shared his LinkedIn profile link in the chat box. Also, you can see on the screen, it is already there. So feel free to reach out to him in case if you have any further things to discuss, because it seems like he has a lot of knowledge about it. And those specifically who are into the finance industry, get in touch with him to understand more about the AI, generative and agentic AI, how it works for the project managers, right? So thank you so much for wonderful questions and attending today's session.
Yeah, and I
Here,
think Raj said that maybe I'm sleepy. Yeah, I mean the questions were wonderful. Otherwise, I would have definitely fallen asleep by now. So thank you so
yeah,
much for wonderful questions and your attendance.
add on to that, it's 11:30, right? Or I
Yes,
guess it's
almost 12:30 now.
12:30. Yeah, we have started the session at 11:30 according to his time zone. And he always, and also it was a very short notice that yesterday I've asked him for the session and he agreed. And so we can understand how eager he is to share his knowledge with all of us. So appreciate Dinesh. Thank you so much for being here
My
today.
pleasure.
I think he is
All
from
right,
the Australia time zone. Yeah. So
that is good.
thank you, everyone. Dinesh, before I take the handover back, we would love to hear final thoughts from you in case if you want to share anything with us.
Yeah, I think first of all, as I said, I'm glad the level of attendance we have seen and the level of questions reflect that so much of interest. And of course, as I said in the beginning, GSTC is doing a great job in arranging, connecting like people like me who have got deep industry experience with people in the audience who want to move towards a different sector. I'm sure there are different set of student audience in this. So great job, and I think connecting the world. I think not sleeping is a small price we can pay for this hyper connected world and knowledge sharing and building our network. So yeah, really happy and all the best for those of you who are trying new things and use of AI. So of course, our paths will definitely cross again in a connected world. So well done, everyone.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dinesh. Even we're really glad to have experts like you sharing the knowledge at our platform. So really grateful for all the contributions for that you have provided in the GSTC earlier, for the earlier session as well. So we look forward to have you join for our upcoming sessions as we'll keep reaching out to you. Yeah, thank you
All
so
right.
much. Perfect.
Thank you.
So I'll be taking the mic back here as I do have some closing announcement for all of you. So also I have some upcoming webinars announcements, so please stay connected. So this is regarding the today's feature session we had on. We do have the certification offering in the GSTC where you can opt out for AI Foundation, AI Tool Mastery and Agentic AI, AI Domain Specialist, AI Strategy Integrated, AI Guardian, and AI Change Evangelist. So please check this out. We have the discount which is going on right now, which is AI20. If you use this promo code, you will get 20% discount on any of these listed certification program. Also, you'll find all the links for all the certification programs in the chat box. By clicking through that, you'll directly redirect to the page where you can directly opt out for this certification program. And in case if you need any assistance, get in touch with a learning advisor for further information and for the help. And this is our utility tool. This tool will help you to level up your profile. It will help you to improve your LinkedIn profile score, your AI skills score. So please do check this tool out. I've already shared the utility link in the chat box, and please do not forget to use AUG100 as a code because it will give you 100% off, which is absolutely free for all our webinar attendees. So check this out. And I'm very happy to make the announcement, the spotlight of the week. We have Reddy Jaya Lukesh and Faiz Rahim as a spotlight for this week, as they have shared the incredible experience with us. So please, you can be also be the next spotlight of the week. You just have to share your stories with us, your learning takeaways, your learning experiences, and tag GSDC over social media. We'll make sure that we'll be picking up one of the best stories that we find, and we'll be making that professional as a spotlight of the week, and that professional will be getting fame across all our social media platform. And this is our continuation of our AI series. We have these other panelists, incredible experts, AI experts, who will be joining us to share their insights. So please do join rest of the session, which is scheduled this week. You can use the same registration link to join the session, and this is happening on the same time slot. And this is our another series, which is ISO GSTC certified learning, ISO driven. So this series is scheduled for this week, 18 to 22nd May. So do join us. You'll find the registration link for this. And this is happening on a different time slot, which is 8 p.m. according to Indian Standard Time and 10:30 p.m. Singapore, 9 p.m. Central and 10:30 a.m. Eastern. So you can see we have this incredible panel of speakers lined up for ISO series. So do join us for this as well. And this is our another series, which is learning and development. So we'll be having the panel discussion on 21st May 2026 with the time slot, which is mentioned below. Make a note of it, and please do join us, as the topic which will be covered within the panelist, which is the rise of skills passport and talent marketplaces, rethinking how organization develop and deploy talent, right? So please do join us. I have already shared the registration link for this in the chat box. And we do have these referral champions who have referred maximum people so far to this series. Let's congratulate to them and appreciate them for making the efforts for referring people to this series. So we'll be announcing all the final winners at the end of this series, and we'll be getting back to all the winners who have earned 50 or more than 50 points with the rewards, which is worth $400, right? So please do refer maximum people to our series and be the winner, as top 3 winners will be featured on the GSTC Wall of Fame as well. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We look forward to have you all join for the upcoming sessions as well, which is scheduled this week. And take care. Thank you.